So here is the Christmas story for 2011, and I wish I was there to read it in person, but I hope you enjoyed just the same. This is the true story of how my brother once saved my life, and why I have never told anyone about what happened that Christmas morning until now. I'm 8 years old, and I love candy. Not just in the way that all 8-year-olds love candy, it was my obsession. My nickname in grade school was Fat Kid. Not a nickname, really, more of a title, but that was what most people called me then. Today I'm usually described as the skinny one, but candy is still my favorite indulgence. My earliest memories of candy. It's a blue blown glass dish on Grandma's coffee table. It was Christmas Eve. We always went to Grandma's and Grandpa's open house on Christmas Eve. The grown ups are all either in the kitchen or the basement. The men, my older brother's gone with them, are watching a hockey game and talking about cars. The women, my little sister's gone with them, are talking about how to best get rid of the food they're about to serve. I have been shooed out of both rooms, and I wander into the parlor where Grandma keeps an overstuffed couch and a huge dark wooden china hutch. The bowl is blue and filled with what I still think of as old lady candies. There's licorice all sorts, the kind of thing that only a grandmother would ever eat. A pile of assorted hard candies that have been sitting in the bowl so long they are now permanently stuck together in one big clump of pink, red, white, and green stripes. And then the best candy ever, English mints. At that first taste, it was so much more than just a boy wearing husky sized jeans getting his first dose of raw sugar. I remember what that big white candy did to my mouth. The intense peppermint took my breath away as soon as it hit my tongue. Then my saliva glands went into overdrive. It was the first thing I ever ate that was truly mouth-watering. I stared down at the bowl, wondering why I had never known of these delicious treats before. I stood in amazement over the idea that there were people in this house who were actually doing something other than standing here eating these minty tablets of sugar. And then I realized I could be caught at any second. I knew exactly how it would happen. My mother would place her left hand under my chin and slap me in the back of the head with her right until I gave up. She would tell me I was ruining my supper. For the record, I was the fat kid. There was never a meal I didn't finish. Usually I finished more than one meal. I was the kid who volunteered to clear the table if there was good food left on someone else's plate. When everyone else was going out in the backyard to play catch, I was making sure no one's mashed potatoes went to waste. I'm sorry, Mom, but no amount of candy was going to slow down that appetite. Well, I wasn't going to let my mother wreck this moment. I crunched my teeth down on the chunk of pressed sugar. The candy cracked and splintered and crunched so loud I was surprised no one in the house heard it but me. The mint crumbled and broke between my teeth, and I finished the candy with the artificial flavor overpowering my taste buds and the wonderful sensation of sugar crystals on my molars. It was a magical moment of my childhood, and to this day, I still choose my candy by how it feels when it's being ground together by my back teeth. Old English mints, sweet tarts, bottle caps, those kinds of candy not only give you a flavor overload, but a special texture when chewed. They quickly go from solid as a rock to crumbling shards of sugar to grainy sucrose paste that is savored and swallowed before the next piece of rock solid sweetness goes in your mouth. I love candy. By the time of the Christmas in question, my sweet tooth is well known. Mom and Dad never keep it in the house. Trick or treating is an all night affair, and aunts and uncles get off easy when it comes to my Christmas presents. It was candy. This particular year, the Lifesavers Candy Company was purchased by Nabisco Brands Incorporated. The first thing Nabisco introduced was the very successful Lifesavers Storybook. It was a package of 8 rolls of Lifesavers that opened like a children's storybook. Each book had 2 rolls of each flavor: the traditional 5-flavor assorted, the Hawaiian, the wild cherry, and the peppermint. That year I got 3 storybooks, and they were the only gift that I can actually remember getting that Christmas. I ate 4 rolls of assorted Lifesavers before breakfast. I was crunching on a couple of the wild cherry flavor when my mom told me to stop eating all that candy and put my new toys away in my room. Using the same theory I had for clearing the dishes, I was glad to be sent to my room carrying all my Christmas candy. I threw the pile of new toys and clothes onto the bed and tore into the unopened box of Lifesavers. This time it was the peppermint that caught my eye. It was perfect. The flavor, the texture was all wonderful. An old English mint with a hole in the middle. I'm popping the white discs into my mouth as quickly as I can. Before I'm done the first pack, I'm opening the foil and wax paper wrapping on the second. Now I'm placing them vertically between my teeth on the side of my mouth and crunching down to grind them into powder as quickly as possible. There is a satisfying snap as the circle collapses and the hole in the middle is no longer. And then it happens. My mother calls me down for lunch. I tilt the tubular sleeve toward my palm, and the entire rest of the package slides into my hand. It's 5 mints, but I now have them in my hand. I have to eat them. I pop them into my mouth and start to look over the pile of presents that covers the bottom half of my bed. I didn't chew these mints. My thought was to crunch them as fast as I could as I headed down to the kitchen. And then it happened. Dad called me from downstairs. When Dad calls, it's serious. When Dad called your name, you got a lump in your throat. This lump was a peppermint lifesaver. I started to cough and bent over as the first 4 fell out of my mouth and onto the floor. The 5th one, though, was lodged in my throat. I started to whistle, not intentionally, not like whistle while you work, there's a candy in your esophagus. No, luckily, the lifesaver, which at this point is an ironic name, is horizontal. The only oxygen coming into my body has to pass through the little hole in the middle of the candy. When I inhale or exhale, wind passing through the mint gives a soft and distant whistle, like a baby bird at the back of a barn. I freeze. Still not wanting to get in trouble for eating more candy, I just froze. I begin to wonder how long it will take to melt. Then my situation gets worse. While the peppermint is a delightfully mouth-watering candy while on the tongue, it has a very different effect while jammed in the trachea. The winter blast of artificial mint flavoring that makes the salivary glands work at warp speed is now about to drown me. I'm unable to stop from swallowing, and when I do, the mint moves in my throat. Unfortunately, the mint does not move up or down. The candy just tilts, from flat to almost straight up and down. My whistle is gone, replaced with a low goose call. Now panic sets in. I head for the door. A few clumsy steps, and I'm standing in front of my closed bedroom door. I reach for the knob, and it slides to the left as my hand hits the door. I hear voices far away and try for the door again. This time, the knob moves left, then up, and then splits in two. I stumble back into the center of the room and stare at the door that is now moving as well. I take in another gasp as a quiet goose honk, and my older brother walks in. He's mad. I can see it. I think it's because I ate the candy I was told not to. He's mad because he's been sent by my dad to see what's taking me so long. His expression never changes. He walks over, grabs my left hand, and pulls my arm out straight. He turns my wrist until my palm is facing the ceiling, and I have no choice but to bend at the waist and face the carpet. It is a move that we've done together a million times, demonstrated by the guys on Dad's Sunday afternoon wrestling show. It seems like an odd time to start a wrestling match, but now in my oxygen-deprived mind, I think he's just getting in one last shot before I die. Now, normally, when my older brother and I wrestled, we go easy on each other, at least at the start. This hit has nothing easy about it. He raises his fist high above his head and pounds it down, palm open into the middle of my back. The peppermint flies onto the floor and cracks in 2 pieces. I crumble on top of the broken candy and the puddle of saliva. As I lay on the floor, sucking in the taste of the carpet and waiting for the room to stop spinning, my older brother just says, "Don't tell anybody," then leaves. Outside the door, I heard my dad's voice and my brother answer, "Who knows? He said he'll be there in a minute. Let's start without him." And then footsteps. I never did tell anyone until the package arrived. This is my brother's first Christmas away from home. He's at university in Prague, apparently the best place in the world to be studying whatever it is he studies. So Mom and Dad are very proud. But his Christmas gift arrived today. Mine is a small, familiar box, about 3 inches by 5 inches. I know it is the second I see it. The note attached says, "Try not to die this time." So I figure now the cat is out of the bag.